just for clarification, did you mean that the 34-count case in which Donald Trump was found guilty was politically motivated here?
The trial in this city, in New York, was politically motivated.
I am disappointed, disgusted, and saddened. And I think that's racist.
In this video, Senator John Fetterman goes on The View, and Sunn Hostin has a full-on meltdown. I mean, it was TDS, Trump derangement syndrome everywhere. Take a look at this.
Oh, how nice of you to repurpose your inauguration outfit.
Is there a new dress code here or something?
Senator John Fetterman does need to change his attire. Now, you'll see in this episode that, he has more common sense than we thought that he had. He has more common sense than the average liberal. But, buddy, you just can't pop up on national television, on The View, and or in Congress and supporting as a U.S. senator with a hoodie and shorts on. Now, I would like to think that they would expect more of a senator than that. And I guess Anna finds herself trying to crack a wise joke on him, but he does need to do better in that regard. Let it roll.
It's only been a week since the former president has retaken office. You were there at inauguration. He's been attempting to flex his power. But are you surprised by anything? I didn't even see what that was.
He's wearing a similar outfit at the inauguration, and you looked great.
I totally feel you. Okay, I get you. So, but are you surprised at anything you've been seeing, or do you anticipate that there's going to be changes that we should be prepped for that we're not thinking about?
Honestly, I haven't been surprised by anything now. I mean, he's been doing essentially what he actually campaigned on that. He announced he is going to pardon the J6 individuals. He is going to absolutely go after the border. So there's a lot of things that he's already ran on. I mean, criticized a lot of it, and I don't agree with everything either, but it's undeniable he actually ran on that and been really upfront. He's like, I am your reputation, and he's, kind of making those moves. So that's kind of where we're at. Early on, immediately after the election, I was like, hey, we have a choice. We can freak out and follow every other thing around, like a cat, with a laser, after everyone. But I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be that Democrat. For me, there's things I'm going to agree with, I'm going to disagree with, but I'm in the business of finding wins for Pennsylvania and for the nation, and engaging the president. I think I see that as doing my job.
Well said.
Look at the body language of the hosts on The View. I mean, they're not happy about that. What they want him to do is to walk on this path of fake outrage and to be alarmed about what President Trump is doing. Everything that has happened thus far, and I believe it's been no more than 7 or 8 days since he's been in office, everything that he's done thus far has pretty much been telegraphed. He told you on the campaign trail what he was going to do. He made it plain on the campaign trail. He was going to pardon the J6ers. They should have never been imprisoned for the most part anyway, okay? Now, he also said that he was going to do something about the border and get rid of all of these criminal illegal aliens who are doing damage to individuals in our country. And we'll see later on when we look at a clip with Dr. Phil and Tom Homan that there are pedophiles walking the streets of Chicago. I mean, free. In communities where there are children. And do we want these people? Do we want these people to have access to our neighborhoods and also to our children? That is the question, but The View is being The View. They always have the wrong view. Let it roll.
The president, and he actually was singing your praises after. He said you were fascinating, impressive, a common sense person. I agree with him on that. Not a liberal or a conservative. I'm curious what your takeaway was from meeting with him, and what if you found that there's any specific policy areas you think you can work with him on?
Yeah, well, I think overall it was a positive experience. I mean, he was kind, he was cordial. It wasn't in any kind of theater. It wasn't trying to get your picture taken to kind of put something out on social media. It was just really a conversation. I actually spoke for over an hour. And overall, my wife was there, and she might be watching right now at home. Hi, Giselle, if you're home. And she was there as well, too. And we just had a conversation. And one of the things, can we agree on? Well, one of the things that was easy, like the Dreamers. The Dreamers, immigration, that. And Giselle was part of that community, and we both had the opportunity to express that. I would also, I'm on the Ag Committee, and I think protecting the SNAP as well, too. Food insecurity is really important issue. And some people on that side wants to go after that or weaponize that. Mm-hmm. So for me, those are kind of issues. Other things that we can agree on as well. But overall, it was just a straight up conversation. And I just have a rule, like I'm going to engage and have a conversation that's anyone playing it straight. And that's doing my job again.
Mm-hmm. You did get a lot of criticism for it from some people who thought you going to Mar-a-Lago gives cover to Trump by creating the solution that he's amenable to working with Democrats. I was very supportive of when people like Mitt Romney and Rob Portman worked with Joe Biden. So I understand the need for bipartisanship. I didn't love the optics of you going to Mar-a-Lago. He was going to, which is his palace.
I didn't like the optics of you going to Mar-a-Lago. That's almost like a parent telling their 3-year-old child that, hey, I didn't like that you kept running when I told you to stop running. I mean, Ana Navarro, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? All of this virtue signaling. You gave the illusion that he's amenable, and I didn't like the optics of you going to Mar-a-Lago, his palace. I mean, are you envious, Ana? Because at the end of the day, I believe that everyone on this show, The View, they're probably at least a millionaire. Don't be upset because President Trump is a billionaire. I mean, you all are getting paid rather handsomely for getting on national television and spewing lies. Lies, lies, lies. I believe that Kamala Harris deserves an apology from shows like The View. Whoopi Goldberg, I mean, that lady. I mean, I'm not going to talk about her aesthetics, and I could. However, she has an ugly spirit, okay? She's always saying something condescending, even from the beginning with John Fetterman coming out, all right? Now, Ana Navarro goes on this mom rant trying to bludgeon Senator Fetterman because he went to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's palace. I mean, I would like to think that Ana has a decent home as well. Although she may not have Trump money, she's doing quite well in America. Take a look at this.
He was going to be in Washington a week later. But what was your goal? And do you feel ultimately you were successful?
Well, here's what happened. I was being lazy on the couch at like Friday night, and my team reached out saying, hey, and I don't know if this is like a trolling or a hoax, but they extended an invitation. What do you think? I'm like, well, I mean, if they're playing it straight, then I think it's pretty reasonable to have a conversation. Inviting me to engage, and I visited it. So maybe some people would be critical of that, but for me, engaging the president, I think when you're in this business, I mean that's part of the job. Any more you would criticize Governor Newsom, that received the president there after the fires in California. They are going to find a way to work together. I mean, that's where we are. And I hope maybe you are watching are tired of just like the venom and the hate. And it's like, I'd like more bipartisan kinds of things. And you are going to agree with things and you're going to disagree on things. And I'm going to pick my fights. And I'm not going to, I've chosen not to add to the cheap heat online or go after those kinds of things. I've never found that helpful. And if those kinds of things were helpful, we would be in a different situation. We'd be the ones making those kinds of decisions with the new administration, with then Vice President Harris.
Yeah. Well, Senator, Trump's pardoning of roughly 1,500 January 6th rioters on his first day back in office is still reverberating. And when we last spoke with you in December, you were critical of Joe Biden having just pardoned his son, Hunter. So although President Trump ran on doing this, there was a discrepancy, and a lot of people in his inner circle said he wouldn't do it for violent offenders. So there was some surprise in what he ended up doing.
Of course.
How do you compare the two? Trump campaigned and told the world that he was going to pardon J6ers. Biden, on numerous occasions, with that mop head wearing KJP, Karen Jean Pierre Louis, whatever her last name is, okay? She told the American people, along with President Joe Biden, that he was not going to pardon Hunter. That's what he said, repeatedly. And then before Christmas, to make sure that good old Hunter, good old pervert Hunter, could have a wonderful and peaceful Christmas, he receives a pardon. And then pardons pretty much his whole family on his last day in office. You cannot compare that to Trump making a campaign promise and then following through with it. You can't make that connection. But truly what's happening here is that Trump is holding true to his words. But the problem with Biden is that Biden would say something and 2 seconds later, he didn't know what he said. Let it roll.
Of course not. I'm on record criticizing going after Hunter Biden. And I also agreed that the trial in this city, in New York, was politically motivated, that wouldn't otherwise have been prosecuted if it was someone else. And I've been very front and center in pardons. I chaired that process in Pennsylvania. I was all about delivering second chances, and I was very proud of that. And I think that's really the cornerstone of criminal justice reform is if you are following the rules and you've paid your debt, I do believe you do. I do believe there needs to be a path for redemption. And this process, whether Joe Biden or whether President Trump, I don't agree with many of those pardons, especially on the J6 ones. And I've called that out. I've been on record saying that that's just not true. If you're going to abuse the process, somebody that's been very committed as part of that, has made that part of my career. I think it's sad because it's been politicized. And I think, if anything, that might have set some things back because people assume now, depending on what team's in office, those are the people that get some redemption.
I just for clarification, did you mean that the 34-count case in which Donald Trump was found guilty of various financial crimes was politically motivated here in New York?
I found that when the judicial system gets weaponized and targeted political enemies for political gain, I think that's inappropriate, and I think that degrades our collective trust in this a very important institution, whether that's on a Democratic going after a Republican or a Republican going after a Democratic one. And I like to think I call it strikes and balls.
Look at her face. Look at the face of Sunny. She's sitting there looking like, no, this bald-headed joker didn't just tell the truth. You're not supposed to say that, Fetterman. I don't know if this is a part of him overcoming that stroke, but, typically Democrats don't tell the truth. Let's just be honest. And I pray for his health, and it seems as if he has regained his mental faculties, and he can speak and he can handle himself. He still needs to work on his attire. However, Senator Fetterman is really the bright spot right now of the Democrat Party. He doesn't sound like a Looney Tune, although I disagree with him on the whole push for LGBTQIA plus ideologies. I disagree with his viewpoint on abortion, but it seems as if he truly wants to be bipartisan. Now, every Democrat says that they want to be bipartisan. It's about being bipartisan. We want to support everybody. We want to work with the other side. No, they don't. Look at the face of Sunn Hostin. That doesn't look like a face of a person who wants to be bipartisan. That looks like a person's face who's cursing Fetterman out in her head, saying, why did we bring this guy on the show? He's going to further demolish the viewpoints and the lies that we have been telling for a long time. Let it rip.
Because the judicial system has to remain impartial. I mean, that's really the cornerstone of our society.
Would that be the way that things worked? Wouldn't that be great if that's the way that things actually worked? But you're still with us for another segment, so we'll be back with more with Senator John Fetterman when we come back. Fetterman, Sunny has the first question.
Thanks, Whoopi. So former D.C. police officer Michael Fetterman, who was nearly killed during the insurrection, has been speaking out publicly against the pardoning of his attackers. Officer Fetterman publicly endorsed you in 2022, but this is what he said last week. We have a clip.
It's not the fact that he's the president that pisses me off. It's the fact that all these people that said that they were, going to stand behind us and that they were going to stand, shoulder to shoulder with us, absolutely ran for the hills.
Yeah.
There's a lot of John Fettermans out there in the world.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's why we're in the predicament that we're in.
Now, there are those on the left who feel like you have made a rightward shift recently, going to Mar-a-Lago, joining Truth Social, your positions on issues like immigration, fracking. What do you say to those who are now, in a sense, questioning your commitment to the Democratic Party?
Oh, well, first, I want to just say I am so sorry for what happened to that officer. I mean, he's had a heart attack. His life, he almost died. I mean, I've had a stroke. Same thing. Absolute empathy and just appalled for what I witnessed what happened on January 6th. And I absolutely would reject pardoning people that were involved on that. And so rightward, that's just happened not to be true. I've been on record, too, saying I am not going to become a Republican. Although maybe some people might be happy on one side, but I would make a pretty terrible Republican because, pro-choice, really strong immigration, pro-LGBTQ, just pretty I don't think I'd be a good fit. So I'm not going to change my party. And if I am going to I'm going to show up. I'll give you the exclusive. I can announce. So I can't keep chasing down every last thing that's online because they're just happen not to be true. And just look at my votes. Look at the things that I haven't changed in a way.
Well, talking about your votes, you joined all of your fellow Democrats and 3 Republicans in voting against Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary. Mm-hmm. But you were a yes on Kristi Noem, on Marco Rubio, and you've indicated you'll vote in favor of other Trump picks like Elise Stefanik for UN ambassador. You've also taken meetings with some of the most controversial appointees.
Really, all of them. The controversial ones are the non-ones. Yeah.
So the controversial ones are Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. Their hearings are set for later this week. Do you know how you're going to vote yet?
Well, again, it's like we just like all of you are going to watch the hearings and see how things go. And I was committed to having an open dialogue with anyone, and I've played it straight. And that's the same kind of rules that I play, and that's what I extend to them. And I found that to be illuminating, and I was able to develop a more full, informed choice. And that's what I've been doing there.
What Fetterman is saying is that I don't have a rubber stamp. Just because these are picks and nominations that have come from the president, because the president is going to get his pick through whoever it is, whether Congress accepts it or not, they're going to work to get that done. What Fetterman is saying is that I need to at least sit through the hearings. That's the purpose. It's a hearing. You listen to the facts. You go back and forth. You play ping pong. Both sides gets a chance to speak. They bring up facts and arguments and information, and you sit back and you make a judgment. That is what it means to be bipartisan. to listen from the middle and hear what's going on and then cast your vote and make a judgment. For Anna to now ask him, you know, are you clear on how you're going to vote and how are you going to cast your vote for the hearings? No, because we haven't had the hearings yet. And see, this is why The View is horrible. For any talk show host to think that that would be a valid question to ask a person in the first place tells you a lot about their mental capacity. Man, these Democrat view-leaning leftist lying nimrods are the problem with our country right now. I don't think that The View is listening to what America has said and what America is saying. We are sick of the gaslighting. We're sick of the labels of people being called racist or white supremacists or Uncle Tom like me. You know, we're sick of that. We're sick and tired of it, but we really want to have an opportunity to move this country forward. Fetterman is not supposedly beholden to the Democrat Party. He's beholden to the people of Pennsylvania. He has a responsibility to represent them beyond the party, represent the people who are in his state. That's it. Take a look at this.
Some were real easy, like Rubio. I mean, he's incredibly qualified, and there's other ones that are going to be controversial, and you're going to see some really controversial ones coming up this week. But now I can't say I refuse to even spend some time to just hear them directly from them, just the way I'm doing right now, having a conversation. So that's what I've decided, and I haven't regretted it.
All right. Well, thanks to Senator John Fetterman.
Well, there it is. You see Whoopi Goldberg's, her response is, all right. Since you're not going to rubber stamp and just be against all of President Donald J. Trump's picks, well, all right. Well, I'm not happy with you. I mean, this is horrible. It's horrible. I mean, come on, man. This group, The View, they're a part of the Looney Tunes or something. Give this man a chance. Allow him to make his decisions. Don't treat him like he's a 3-year-old and tell him that I didn't like the optics of you going to Mar-a-Lago, and I don't like the viewpoints that President Trump holds as relates to immigration, and now you want to push that on Fetterman? Now keep in mind, Tom Homan is doing a wonderful job keeping Americans safe. That's both Democrats and Republicans. We want to go home at night, sleep peacefully, and not have to worry about criminal illegal aliens using up our resources in our country, which are greatly diminishing, and doing heinous crimes to our homes, to our families, and or to our children. President Trump is first and foremost coming after the criminals, in particular the pedophiles. And recently, Tom Homan and Dr. Phil teamed up together to go to Chicago to see what was going on there and to lock up some people in the early hours of the morning. Take a look at this clip. It's together.
Riding along on one of those ice raids, as we saw there in Chicago, was Dr. Phil McGraw, the TV host embedded with U.S. immigration enforcement officers during an operation in Chicago on Sunday, defending President Donald Trump's deportation effort. Here's a clip of one of those arrests carried out with the Trump administration border czar Tom Homan.
I'm not a senator. I'm not talking about lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
You're Dr. Phil. You're Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
Hold up, Tom.
No, I seen her.
Dr. Phil asked this guy, he said, man, are you a citizen? He says, my mother's a citizen. All right, he says it real fast. And then he asked him, have you ever been deported? And the guy turns and says, Dr. Phil. I mean, he's like starstruck, but he's getting ready to be deported. This is amazing. This is the kinds of things that happens when you have 4 years of Joe Biden. Oh my goodness. Just look at this, man. The guy's looking at Dr. Phil starstruck. The last encounter that he's going to have in America is with the one and only legendary Dr. Phil. And this guy he's gushing. He's gushing over that point. Let it roll.
The Phil, you know, on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children.
See?
And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with a sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with.
See, here we go. Listen. Sunn Hostin. Is this thing on? Sunny, oh, Sunn Hostin, oh, Anna Navarro, oh, Whoopi, Ugly Spirit Goldberg. Is this who you want walking the streets? A convicted pedophile? Is this who you want walking by your building or by your house at night when you go home? Because you got to go home too. Hello, somebody. And you may at sometimes be with someone of the opposite sex that can protect you, or even the same sex, but sometimes you're going to be alone. Do you want to walk in an alley with a guy like this? Because God knows if he's turned on and fixated by a minor, someone under the age of 18, surely he might be turned on by Anna Navarro or by Sunn Hostin. Now, if he's turned on by Whoopi Goldberg, my God, this man needs some prayer. We really need to deport him. But at the end of the day, this is the kind of people who are receiving support from America and the former administration, who are allowed to walk the streets of Chicago, knowing goodness well that they should not be here and that they have done and committed heinous crimes. Trump is going after the criminals. And yes, you are a criminal if you come here illegally, but he's also going after the violent, pedophilic individuals that we see in this video who deserves to be deported and locked up. And if we weren't on YouTube, I'll say some other things as well. He deserves all of the above. Let it roll.
You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really?
All right, and with that, Dr. Phil McGraw joins
really.
Top Story once again. He's the host of Dr. Phil, Primetime on Merit TV. Dr. Phil, it's great to see you again. So, Dr. Phil, I'm going to ask you this very plainly, right? Everyone knows who you are. You're a psychologist, Hall of Fame broadcaster, you're a celebrity. What exactly were you doing there this weekend on those raids?
Well, Tom, thanks for having me again. It's good to see you again. This is something that I deal with what people are interested in and how it's impacting their lives. And our viewing audience is very interested in these immigration laws and what's happening. It was one of the top issues on people's minds culturally and what's impacting their family. And we talk about the things that people are interested in on Merit TV. And what we want to do is show them with full transparency what's actually happening. And, there's been a lot of talk out there about sweeping through neighborhoods, just picking up people indiscriminately, and I wanted to see if that was happening. Part of my embedding within this group was to ask Tom Homan hard questions. I asked him, are you just sweeping through neighborhoods and picking up people that are here illegally? And he said, no, that's not our intention. We have our plan right now is worst first. We're
That's
going
right.
after those that have the worst criminal
The
records
worst
first. And this is a surgical, tactical plan to go in and get those people. And sanctuary cities are not letting them know when they have these people in custody so they can come to the jail and pick them up. And what's happening with sanctuary cities is they're creating that which they want the least, and that is they're causing these agents, as Gabe was talking about, to go into the communities and arrest these people on the job or in their neighborhoods. And when they go in to get someone that's a violent criminal, whoever's with them, they're going to find out who those people are, and they may wind up arresting them as well. Because when they run into someone that is in the country illegally, they are going to detain them and move them for deportation. That's not going to happen if they'll let them know when these people are in jail and being released back into the community. They pick them up right there.
There you have it. The facts, the proof, and the evidence. The View, don't worry about them. Sunn Hostin, don't worry about her. Anna Navarro, come on. Whoopi, now you already know. But let's be real here. Let's be real here. The View gets it wrong every time. They always have the wrong view. This is not about attempting to defraud people. This is about safety and the health of our country. You can't be a sovereign nation. You can't have a nation without having borders. And as Dr. Phil just stated, President Trump is coming after the worst first. And if you don't think that a man that is a pedophile is in the category of being the worst first, my hope and prayer is that you encounter the worst first. God bless you, and God bless America. Be so kind to subscribe to my channel. Subscribe, and stick around for the next episode. God bless you.